U.S. President Donald Trump hinted at the possibility of talks with Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro on Sunday amid rising tensions between Washington and Caracas as the U.S. continues to increase its military presence near the South American country. "We may have a discussion with Maduro and we'll see what happens. They want to talk," Trump told a reporter before boarding Air Force One at Palm Beach International Airport en route to the White House. Over the past few months, Washington has launched a series of attacks in the Caribbean and Pacific against ships suspected of transporting drugs.
The arrival of the USS Gerald R further increases the deployment of U.S. combat forces in the region, the largest in decades. The deployment brings Operation Southern Spear to nearly a dozen Navy ships and approximately 12,000 sailors and Marines. On Sunday, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said the State Department would designate the Cartel de los Soles as a foreign terrorist organization and accuse Maduro of leading the cartel. Led by the illegitimate Nicolás Maduro, this group has undermined Venezuela's government institutions and is responsible for terrorist violence carried out by and with other designated FTOs, as well as for drug trafficking to the United States and Europe, he wrote on X. The Ford ship completes the largest deployment of U.S. combat forces in the region in several generations. With its arrival, the Operation Southern Spear mission includes nearly a dozen Navy ships and about 12,000 sailors and Marines. The arrival of the aircraft carrier coincided with the military's announcement of its latest deadly attack on a small vessel it claimed was carrying illegal drugs. The military's Southern Command posted a video on X on Sunday showing the vessel being blown up. The attack was claimed to have taken place on Saturday in international waters in the eastern Pacific Ocean. In Trinidad and Tobago, which is only 7 miles from Venezuela at its closest point, government officials said troops had begun exercises with the U.S. military that would last throughout the week. Foreign Minister Sean Sobers called the joint exercises the second in less than a month, and said they were aimed at tackling violent crime in the island nation, which has become a transit point for drug shipments to Europe and North America. The Prime Minister has been a vocal supporter of U.S. military strikes. The exercises will involve Marines from the 22nd Expeditionary Unit, who have been stationed aboard a Navy ship that has been on patrol off the coast of Venezuela for months.
The U.S. has long used aircraft carriers to suppress and prevent aggression by other countries, because their fighter jets can attack targets deep inside other countries. Some experts say that Ford is not suitable for fighting cartels, but this aircraft carrier could be an effective instrument of intimidation for Maduro in his efforts to force him to step down. The Venezuelan government recently touted a massive mobilization of troops and civilians to defend against a possible U.S. attack. Maduro and other officials in Venezuela's Socialist Party also attended demonstrations this weekend to support the formation of neighborhood committees that will work to increase membership in Venezuela's Socialist Party and promote party policies.
Trump justified the attacks on drug ships by saying that the U.S. was in an armed conflict with drug cartels, but claimed that the ships were operated by foreign terrorist organizations. He faced opposition from regional leaders, the UN human rights chief, and U.S. lawmakers, including Republicans, who demanded more information about who was targeted and the legal justification for the attacks. However, the Republican-controlled Senate recently voted to reject legislation that would have restricted Trump's ability to launch attacks against Venezuela without congressional authorization. Experts disagree on whether American fighter jets can be used to attack ground targets in Venezuela. However, this 100,000-ton warship is sending a message. This is the essence of the return of U.S. military power in Latin America, said Elizabeth Dickinson, senior analyst for the International Crisis Group for the Andes region. And this has caused a lot of anxiety in Venezuela, but also throughout the region. I think everyone is watching this with some concern to see how serious the U.S. is about actually using military force.